All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Walters, and this is Mike Talks NY Sports, episode 11. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about the Knicks, wondering if either they are contenders or pretenders, or we're going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets, their current game, and if they can potentially make it to the play-in. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Giants and their plans for quarterback. All right. Today, I'm going to start with the question that everyone is asking, which is, are the Knicks pretenders or contenders, or contenders or pretenders? Okay, all I have to say is this. Yes, the Knicks have been struggling against the elite teams. Like just last week, I think they lost last weekend, they lost to both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. The Cleveland Cavalier game was just a massacre. It's like the Knicks, they were close in the beginning and they just let the Cavaliers just explode. I think they hit like 19 3-pointers in that entire game. And I'm like, man, Cavaliers looking like they're trying to beat the Celtics. Yeah, the Knicks end up losing by over 30 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And at one point, they were trailing by over 40 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I'm like, I was there watching the game and I'm like, oh my God, why? It's like Towns played all right, but he didn't play good defense. Brunson had his typical game where he scores like 25 and has like 10 assists. But where the hell was Mikal Bridges at? You didn't show up in that game. You were a non-factor, non-existent. I give OG Anunoby a pass because that was his first game when he came back from not playing for like over 2 weeks with a foot injury. So I give him the slap on the wrist. But Bridges, you're the quote unquote Iron Man of the NBA, and you were not playing good. You've scored only like maybe about 11 points in that game. Like, come on, man. Like, you got to be a little bit more aggressive. You're supposed to be the third scoring option. Like, I get it. In that game, they didn't have Josh Hart, who apparently is like their heart and soul. He's the heart and soul of their team. Like, literally, he's the driving force of their team. Not having him there makes your team kind of like dead. Like, the team spirit was dead in that game. It's like no one had no fight in them. Everybody was playing like a bunch of chickens without their heads. So it's like that's how I see the importance of Josh Hart for this team. Like without him, this team is they're not good. Like without him, because he really is the one that keeps everything together. And also, when they played the Celtics, that Celtic game that they played on last Sunday, that game I get it. The Knicks, they had heart in that game and they played with a little bit more fight against the Celtics than the Cavs. Because the Knicks were probably like, you know what? We got blown out in Cleveland. So let's at least try to fight to win against Boston. Well, the thing is, throughout the Boston game, Boston was blowing out the Knicks. But then in the third quarter, the Knicks just had this crazy run where Towns was hitting all his threes. Brunson was just hitting everything. Like they let him get hot. And the Knicks, they managed to cut the lead down to 4 in the fourth quarter. But what had happened is that, of course, you know, the Knicks, sometimes when they get on the run, they're like, oh my God, we have a chance to win. But no, you'd end up losing because you let your guard down. You let people like Derek White and Tatum and Brown start hit threes at any given like time, and it's like because of that, it's like you end up losing because you've left them open. You let them get hot. Because the thing is, the Celtics, they attempt a lot of threes every game. They know how to hit their threes. They know how to get into rhythm. So it's like that's what kind of doomed the Knicks. Did not they did not stick to their plan that they used against them in the third quarter. And I get it. People are saying as long as Thibodeau is coach for the Knicks are not going to go anywhere. the thing is, I get a lot of Knicks fans don't like Tibbs, but if I'm being honest, they're right. Thibodeau has been a very controversial coach over the years. Like Thibodeau, he has a history of supposedly um running his players to the ground. Like a lot of like basically he utilizes them for a lot of minutes every game. Like you see people like, for example, Bridges. I understand Bridges is durable, but every game the dude's playing like 42 minutes. Like give him like 35 minutes the most, but 42 minutes is practically the entire game. Like give some minutes to some of the other reserves, man. And he gives injury prone players like Ananobi, he be playing them like 40 minutes a game. And does this man understand that these people have history of injuries? Like, I get you don't trust the bench, but damn it, Thibodeau, you're supposed to trust the bench. You're a coach, for crying out loud. Like, this is why some people have mixed reactions about the Knicks. I be watching every Knicks post game being hosted by other like content creators, and they're like, is Thibodeau going to make adjustments? His defensive strategies are done. They're terrible. Like, he is too outdated. Like, his coaching, he's still coaching as if he's still in the 90s. You're not in the 90s, bruh. It's 2025, damn it. You need to change your coaching strategy. But it's like he's not going to do that because, that's the thing about the old time coaches still coaching in the league. They're going to do the exact same thing because they feel like that's the only way for them to win. And it's like, I know people are saying, are the Knicks contenders or pretenders? I'm sad to say this, but the Knicks are pretenders right now. They like 0-7 against the elite teams. Come on, man. But yes, they had some good wins against some Western Conference teams like the Rockets and the Grizzlies and the Nuggets. They've beaten the Milwaukee Bucks. They've beaten the Pacers. They've beaten the Hawks. Like, they've beaten those teams, but you got to prove to the NBA that you can beat at least Boston and Cleveland. You got like 2 or 3 matchups left with them for the season. And I hear you're getting back Mitchell Robinson this week, and that is very good that you're getting him back, but it's not guaranteed that he is going to make an impact because he's just coming back from an injury that kept him out for almost a year. So it's like it's going to take a while for Mitchell Robinson to readjust. But my plan for the Knicks right now is, what adjustments are you going to make your team better? I hear they have an open roster spot open. We need a bench scorer. Who are you going to sign? Are you going to sign dudes from your Westchester Knicks affiliate? Are you going to sign people like TJ Warren or Chuma KK? Like, literally, you just lost Moses Brown to the Dallas Mavericks. I saw on a box score yesterday, Moses Brown, the former Westchester Knick, 20 points and I think 12 rebounds in last night's game between the Mavericks and the Hornets. And I'm like, come on, man. You could have had this man on the team, but I get it. Contract reasons, financial reasons, because of you guys being capped in the first apron. You can't make certain moves. But damn, you let the Mavericks beat you to another player again? Damn. That's tough, but it's like, it's whatever. Like, hopefully, I hope the Knicks will make the right decision on who they're going to sign to bolster their bench, because I hear that the Knicks are last in bench scoring. That is not good. In order to win a championship or to compete in the playoffs, you need a good bench. You cannot have Campaign, McBride, Achua, and sometimes Shamit being your bench unit. You need a scorer. Out of those 4 players I just mentioned, the only person who I kind of see as like a scorer, well, even though he's not really a scorer all the time, is really Cameron Payne. He's really the only one who's like a consistent scorer, but he be having his moments where he just only hits like maybe 1 shot for a game. So it's like they need a consistent score. If you get a consistent score off the bench, your team will be good. And plus, you need a backup wing. The fact that the Knicks have lack of wing players, it is concerning, but they do have some wings within their organization. Thibodeau probably needs to play the rookie Pacome Dadier more minutes. Why you're not playing him any minutes? Is it because he's only 19? Like, come on, there are people who are 19 years old playing in the NBA, for crying out loud. Like, I don't understand why Thibodeau don't trust rookies. Like, play him more minutes. If you don't want to play Pacome Dadier, maybe play Toppin's younger brother Jacob Toppin more minutes, because I hear he's been going off in Westchester. Like, I don't know what Thibodeau is going to do. I hope he makes the right decision, because if the Knicks lose in the first round, your bald butt is going to be fired in the offseason. And I can speak for all Knicks fans. We would love your old ass to get off of the team. Like, bruh, I feel like it is time for you to retire. Hopefully the Knicks can get a more younger coach so the team can thrive, because it's been 5 years, it's been like 5 years of Thibodeau, and right now I'm sick of it. So I just hope the Knicks, they make the right decision necessary for the team in order to potentially win a championship within the next 2 years. All right now I'm going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, since the Brooklyn Nets have waived Ben Simmons, I've noticed that their team has actually started to play good now. Like, they have been winning a couple of games of recent. Like, they've beaten the Sixers twice. Well, that's no surprise, because the Sixers don't have Embiid throughout most of the time, and Paul George ain't playing too good. So it's like, I get why they beat them. And also, what I realized about the Brooklyn Nets is that in their recent game, because recently they had played against the Oklahoma City Thunder, I was kind of surprised that they were blowing out Oklahoma throughout most of the game. And I'm like, man, the Thunder are the first seed in the West, one of the best teams in the NBA, and a team that is, I think, 11th in the East is busting their behinds. Like, I was surprised. And I'm like, okay, I see who was playing that night. Claxton didn't play because he was suspended, so they had Day'Ron Sharpe being the starting center. D'Angelo Russell was not playing because he was injured, so they had Killian Hayes, the dude who used to play for Detroit, who people call a big bum, a big draft bust. He was the starting point guard, but he didn't really score that much. He was only there for defense. So it's like, and then they had a couple they had Cam Johnson playing, and they had a couple G League players playing as well. And it's like, that squad, they managed to blow out the Thunder. And I'm like, man, even though Cam Johnson didn't have his typical game, it was all Day'Ron Sharpe. Day'Ron Sharpe was going off. He was making all of his layups. He was getting a bunch of offensive rebounds. Like, I've been watching the development of Day'Ron Sharpe for a while. This dude, he has potential. He can ball. He can even shoot the 3-ball, something that Claxton can't do. But I get that they end up losing to the Thunder by 8 points, but it's good that y'all fought the entire game to potentially win, but you ended up losing. And I look at, for example, the Nets, they only lost by 8 points to the Thunder in their home court. But why did the Knicks lose by over 30 in their home court? Well, I would actually understand why that happened. Like, look, they were playing in the Garden. We always hear stories of players going on crazy-ass career-high games in the Garden. Like, they let this dude named Aaron Wiggins drop 35 points on them in the Garden. So it's like, but the Brooklyn Nets, they had a different strategy. Instead of allowing them to shoot them threes, they were actually playing defense on them. And that's what happened. And the thing is, the coach for the Brooklyn Nets, I'm not gonna lie. He looking a little bit better than Thibodeau as a coach because he's a little younger and he knows how the NBA has changed. The NBA has become a more three-point oriented league. More teams are taking more three-pointers. It's because they're looking at how the Warriors had won their championship in the past. They were using Curry and Clay to hit a bunch of three-pointers. So it's like every team now is starting to use that same method where they have one or more players shoot a certain amount of threes every game. So it's good. I'm glad that the Nets coach had noticed this change in all the teams, and he's starting to have his players play more defense on the 3-point line. Like, because the thing is, the only reason why a lot of teams lose a lot of games in the NBA is because they can't defend the 3-point line. The Nets are starting to get good at defending the 3-point line. The only reason why they lose games is because they have a lack of a clutch performer on their team. Like if D'Angelo Russell was playing, they probably would have won the game because D'Lo is a proven scorer. Having Killian Hayes take your clutch shots, even though he was misfiring almost everything, I was like, oh my God, I just knew from then they were going to lose because you're letting a dude who's a known draft bust literally close out the game. That's when I knew the Nets were done at that moment. But, well, they are 11th in the West. I think they're a game and a half behind the Bulls for the 10th seed. People are wondering, can they make the play-in? It's possible that they can make the play-in, but we'll see. They're still kind of they still have a lot of players out with injuries, so we'll see. Like my guess is that they probably will make the play-in, but they're not making the playoffs. No. Some team like the Magic or the Hawks are gonna, probably blow them out and they get eliminated completely. So my guess is they're going to end up being probably the 10th seed, and they're going to end up getting a lottery pick possibly in the draft. Well, we don't know because people are saying the picks that the Knicks gave them are in the high 20s. So I don't know who they're going to get. They're definitely not getting no Cooper Flag. That's one thing I could say, but it's whatever. I just hope the Nets, I wish them the best for the rest of the season. Hopefully they make some moves. We don't know. And that's really about it for the Nets. Okay. Right now, I'm going to be talking about the New York Giants. Okay, it's been a common theme right now on who the Giants are going to get to replace, you know, even though Daniel Jones is no longer on the team, but they need to get a new starting quarterback because obviously, no disrespect to Tommy DeVito, you are injured, so the Giants need another quarterback. So it's like they need a more experienced quarterback. Not that I'm saying you don't have experience, but they need a quarterback that can change the culture, that believes in winning. So it's like people are saying maybe the Giants should trade for Matthew Stafford. He's the quarterback for the Rams. People keep on asking, can the Giants land Stafford? I do not know. The only way I see you landing a dude like him is if you give up some of your picks and also some of your players. Like, who on that team are you willing to give up? Like, obviously, you can't get rid of your wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. You can't get rid of him, but you have to get rid of somebody to get Stafford because I don't think the Rams are just going to give him up like that. So if your chances of getting Stafford are like 50-50, my guess is you should do this. In the draft, you should draft potentially Shader Sanders. I know people are saying Shader Sanders may be drafted by the Giants. Maybe what you should do is draft him and then showcase him to the Rams. Literally, once you draft him, you literally ask the Rams if you can trade Sanders for Stafford. That would really be a good trade because the Giants get the quarterback they've been wanting for years, and the Rams get a new quarterback that they can, build up to be probably a good superstar in the future. Like, that's the thing about the Giants. We just need a new quarterback. Daniel Jones failed because, they thought he was going to be the best thing since, I don't know, since Joe Montana, but he turned out to be a bust. So it's like, you know, the thing is, Daniel Jones, he couldn't really take the pressure of being a New York athlete. That's what led to his downfall. So they need a mentally tough person to be the new quarterback for this team. Like, if I'm just saying it, if the Giants fail to make the playoffs again next season, we're going to start seeing rumors about possibly the general manager being fired and maybe even the coach being fired. So, like, I can speak for all Knicks fans. I mean, I can speak for all Giants fans. We want the Giants to potentially make it to the playoffs to compete for a Super Bowl, even though they're probably not going to win a Super Bowl in probably like another like 5 to 10 years. But we don't know what happens. We don't know what will happen in the future. So I just hope the Giants will make the right decision necessary for their organization, and we will see the Giants compete in a competitive level again instead of really just getting blown out every week. All right, so I have reached the conclusion of today's episode. It was I would say a thrilling experience. Yeah, I will tune in next week where I will talk a little bit more about everything New York sports. And this is Michael Walters reporting from WIUR. This is Mike Talks NY Sports. Have a good day.